How did Curtly Ambrose single-handedly bring Australia to its knees in one of the greatest fast bowling spells ever? In this video, we're breaking down how Ambrose destroyed Australia, turned the series around for the West Indies, and left the cricket world in shock. But we're not just recapping history. We're bringing you expert insights, behind-the-scenes details, and storytelling that puts you right in the action. So stick around, hit that like button, and let's relive this legendary moment right here on Sports Frenzy TV. Alright, let's dive into one of the most thrilling moments in cricket history. Picture it, 1993, the mighty West Indies were in Australia, and everyone knew this was going to be a battle for the ages. The stage was set for a showdown that would become legendary, and the stakes wouldn't have been higher. This wasn't just any game. This was the West Indies trying to hold on to their pride and legacy as the world's cricketing giants, while Australia had risen as the new kings of the game. It wasn't the West Indies of the 80s anymore, not the team that once dominated the sport, but a squad that had been battered by injuries, retirements, and inconsistency. On the flip side, Australia had been building themselves up, and this was their chance to prove that they were the future of cricket. For them, it was about making the West Indies a thing of the past. But as it turns out, the West Indies weren't quite ready to bow out just yet. There was one man, in particular, who was about to make a statement so loud that it would send ripples through the entire cricketing world. That man was Curtly Ambrose. On January 30th, 1993, in Perth, Ambrose unleashed a spell of bowling that would go down as one of the most iconic moments in cricketing history. Australia, the favorites for the match, were about to be humiliated, and the cricket world was about to see a storm they hadn't expected. Now, the rivalry between Australia and the West Indies at this point was fierce. The two teams had been battling for supremacy for years, and this series was no different. Australia, after decades of dominance by the West Indies, had finally risen as the new power in cricket. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Australia were the favorites, stepping onto the field with their heads held high. It was almost like the plot of a blockbuster movie, the old kings versus the ambitious challengers. But don't be fooled, the West Indies were not about to just hand over their crown. The series was tied 1-1, and the tension was palpable. The West Indies had managed to claw their way back into the contest with a dramatic one-run victory in the fourth test. Yes, you heard that right. One run. If you think your favorite TV drama has suspense, just wait until you watch that match. Now, as the teams faced off in Perth, the atmosphere was electric, and both sides were desperate for a win. But here's the thing. The West Indies weren't exactly at full strength. Two of their star players, Carl Hooper and Benjamin, were sidelined due to injuries. The Australians, with their usual confidence, probably thought they had an easy job ahead of them. What they didn't know was that Curtly Ambrose was about to unleash something they could never have prepared for. Before the game started, Ambrose looked at the pitch and immediately saw the potential for fast bowling. So he made a bold prediction to his captain, Richie Richardson. He told him, if you win the toss, we win this match and the series. As fate would have it, the West Indies lost the toss, and Australia, much to Ambrose's surprise, chose to bat. Now, Ambrose didn't exactly agree with the decision, and his reaction showed it. He was confused, almost like Border had handed him a gift wrapped in mystery. But even the greatest bowlers don't always start off strong, right? Ambrose's first spell was, let's just say, not ideal. His deliveries were too short, too wide, and it just wasn't clicking. By lunchtime, Australia was cruising at 85 for 2, and Ambrose was feeling pretty low. He sat there silently, blaming himself for not making the impact he had hoped for. But after the break, something changed. Richie Richardson came up to him, checking in on how he was feeling, and after a brief conversation, Ambrose said he was ready to bowl. And that was all he needed. Ambrose adjusted his length just a little, making it fuller. What followed was pure destruction. Mark Waugh was the first to fall. Ambrose sent down a perfect delivery, a good length ball that kissed the outside edge of Waugh's bat and flew straight to the keeper. Ambrose had found his rhythm. Next, it was David Boone's turn. Boone, Australia's most dependable batsman, had settled in at 44, but Ambrose wasn't having it. He bowled a brutal delivery that climbed from a good length, and the edge flew straight to slip, where Richie Richardson completed a stunning catch. Boone was gone, but that wasn't the end of the madness. Alan Border walked to the crease next. Now, Border had faced some of the best bowlers in the world throughout his career, but what Ambrose had in store for him was unlike anything he had ever faced. The first ball he faced was a beauty, a back-of-a-length delivery with seam movement, and the edge was caught. Border was out of a golden duck, and Australia was in complete disarray. The Australians were now rattled, and Ian Healy, the next batsman, barely managed to survive Ambrose's hat-trick ball. But he didn't last much longer, as the thick edge flew to Brian Lara at slip. Now Australia was 102 for 6, and Ambrose was just getting started. Mark Taylor came in and decided to play aggressive, almost as if he was auditioning for a highlight reel. But Ambrose wasn't having it. The big fast bowler went over the top, and the resulting catch was safely held by Keith Arthurton. Ambrose had taken his 5th wicket. Hughes was the only man dismissed by Ambrose without edging the ball to either the keeper or slip, which is insane when you think about it. Every other wicket had been taken in the most dramatic fashion. But Ambrose wasn't done yet. There were still more victims to claim. Damian Martin, the next to go, edged another quick delivery to second slip, and just 4 balls later, debutant Joe Angel nicked one to the keeper. Ambrose had taken 7 wickets, and the best part, he had conceded just 1 run. 1 run! 7 wickets for 1 run in 32 balls. The Australian team must have been in utter disbelief. They had just witnessed one of the most relentless, world-class fast bowling spells in cricketing history. The Aussies were bowled out for just 119, and the West Indies responded with 322 runs thanks to some solid batting at the top of the order. That 203-run deficit proved way too much for the Australians to recover from. By day 3, Ian Bishop had come in and cleaned up, taking 6 wickets, including Alan Border's second duck of the match. His first pair in 138 tests. Australia was humiliated, and the West Indies clinched the series 2-1 after being down 0-1. From a position of weakness, they had turned the tables, and in the blink of an eye, they were the victors. Ambrose finished the match with 9 wickets, and after back-to-back test wins, he was named the man of the series. He finished with an incredible total of 33 wickets, tying the record for most wickets in a West Indies-Australia series. As for the groundsman who prepared the pitch, well, he reportedly lost his job as the pitch seemed almost tailor-made for Ambrose. But honestly, could anyone have stopped him that day? Probably not. It was just Ambrose being Ambrose, and it was cricket at its finest. So guys, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, keep watching this beautiful game. See you soon!